Maybe you're just not trying hard enough. So, Cosmic Skeptic has finally broken the silence on why he's no longer vegan.
So as you can imagine, the past couple of weeks have not been particularly easy for me.
Oh, yes. Understatement of the millennium.
I recognize that this kind of video can cause a lot of drama, bring a lot of attention, a lot of negative attention to the vegan movement, to animal advocacy. That's really something I'm trying to avoid.
Good man. Most YouTubers throw the animals under the bus in an effort to make themselves feel better. So I've got to really respect that.
But look, I'm not some kind of nutritionist. I'm certainly not a nutritional expert. And so I'm in a bit of an awkward situation here in that, I feel I want to explain some of the problems that I was facing in maintaining a healthy plant-based diet. But I want to clarify that shouldn't be informing your position on the viability of a plant-based diet.
Great. One question. If you're not a nutrition expert yourself, why don't you approach a plant-based nutrition expert and just get some help?
So people have been asking, well, what's this magical nutrient that you can only get from an animal product that you can't get from plants? I want to clarify from the start, there isn't one.
Amen.
Like, I still want to encourage people to be vegan. I still want to encourage people, of course, to care about animal suffering.
You're going to find that rather difficult while you're eating their dead bodies.
The fact of the matter is, I still think animal suffering matters greatly.
Just not enough to do anything about it.
All that happened was, in practice, in my life, I found it difficult to maintain.
Yet somehow I've managed to get enough calories and nutrients in the last 10 years.
Now, for most of my life, I've had a particular set of health issues, just like most people have some health issues, that I must stress are unrelated to veganism. They're not caused by veganism. I had them before I was vegan. It's nothing like that.
Are you listening, you little anti-vegan numbskulls?
One of the most important or relevant here is IBS, or irritable bowel syndrome, which people have to varying degrees. I've suffered with it quite severely for most of my life.
Yeah, well, no wonder you struggled then. So for anyone who doesn't know, whole plant foods are clinically proven, like there's no doubt about it, the evidence is overwhelming, clinically proven to be the most health promoting foods in the world. If you can't put these healthy foods in your gut, and if you've got IBS, this is what really makes it flare up because of all the fibre. If you can't put the healthiest foods in the world in your gut without having serious problems, something's very wrong, isn't it? And of course, the reason that people have IBS more often than not is that historically, they didn't eat a healthy diet.
It's not been as bad as I've been getting older.
Such as when you ate a vegan-compatible diet?
But it essentially translates to having some severe stomach problems, as well as, I don't really know how to put it, but you need to make sure you have access to a toilet. For most of my childhood, one of the great miseries of my life was that I essentially wouldn't be able to go anywhere that didn't have an immediate toilet access, because otherwise I'd be absolutely stuck out. And the anxiety of just being there and knowing that that was the case would be enough to bring on the symptoms of IBS, and I'd just be paralyzed by it.
You have my sympathies. That's really hard. Now, 3 years back, I developed SIBO, small intestinal bacterial overgrowth. For a vegan, it's probably the worst thing you can have. I had very similar symptoms. Mostly it was a lot of pain. But what I did is I reached out to an expert, YouTuber Goji Man, Simon Hammett. We ran some tests. Turned out I had SIBO. Then he prescribed me a treatment. I did the treatment. And then I carried on eating all the plants because I care about my own health and about animals. Some experts reckon that maybe 84% of what we call IBS, irritable bowel syndrome, it's just a syndrome is a list of symptoms. 84% of it potentially is driven by SIBO. So at the very least, just do a SIBO test or run a battery of gut health tests. Ascertain why is it that the healthiest foods in the world are causing you problems. During the interim, you could try a FODMAP diet where you temporarily eliminate certain types of whole plant foods, which can be more triggering for some people. I would point you to Monash University and that awesome app for help with that.
This was livable. That is an important thing to stress. It's not like the pain that I experience when I suffer from these symptoms is completely and utterly debilitating.
Unlike the pain and misery that animals have to go through in order to end up on our plates.
The problem is that, of course, when there was something I needed to be doing, so if I was giving a talk or a debate, or even if I was attending a lecture or a debate or something like that, or indeed if I was just hanging out with friends in a place that didn't have a toilet access, if we were just going for a picnic or hanging out by the river or something, I knew that if I was going to eat something and then go to these things, there was a good chance that I was going to run into quite a bit of trouble. And so what I would do is have a very restricted relationship to food in these instances. It meant essentially not eating or eating very minimally and safely.
I.e. very little fibre. The problem when we do that is that we're not feeding the healthful gut bugs that control 99% of our health potential via their genes. And we're not giving them the raw materials, the soluble fibre, for instance, that they break down into short-chain fatty acids such as butyrate, which is the fuel for our colonocytes, the cells of the colon wall, and gives them the energy they need to knit together tightly. And if we're not doing that, we have gut permeability, little holes, fractions of undigested proteins get into the bloodstream, and then we develop allergies to perfectly healthy foods. And so, again, healthy foods seem to be a problem for us. It's not the plants that are the problem, it's the problem that we don't eat enough plants early enough in our life to have good gut integrity.
And one of the worst things about it is that it was quite unpredictable. I never knew when the stomach was going to flare up. So sometimes I'd be able to eat and be fine, but I didn't want to run that risk. And so in any of these kind of circumstances, I'd be restricting my eating very greatly. And this is something that I did before I was vegan as well. So I was well adjusted to it. But essentially, if I was going out and doing something, like if I was going out to a field somewhere, or if I was going to give a talk, I just wouldn't really eat, or I'd eat very minimally, and I'd eat very safe foods that obviously weren't particularly nutritionally adequate, but would help me to get some calories in.
Wait, so you have the same symptoms whether you eat omnivorously or as a vegan, so therefore you're going back to eating omnivorously? That doesn't make any sense. There are plenty of vegan foods that have zero fibre. Why not just eat those around the times that you're going to have a potential issue, and then eat healthily the rest of the time?
Because of the fact that it is easier to get the nutrients that are required to be healthy on a non-vegan diet, which, say what you like about it being easy to live healthily as a vegan, which I believe in many cases it can be and is, it is easier to not be one. I found that in practice, despite obviously having a lot invested in this, I wasn't able to make it work.
Yeah, well, my SIBO symptoms sounded about 1,000 times worse than your symptoms, and I made it work. Maybe you're just not trying hard enough. If you want to optimize your health, body shape, or sports performance while not harming animals, check out my coaching service link below. Otherwise, we'll see you in the next video.